do when you see a generation of young people, including your own son, being held back from the educational opportunities that they need in order to improve their lives? In the 1980s, the country was burning, and the future of its youth was at risk. Anastasia Thula, a community activist and mother from Soweto, was faced with this dilemma and decided to do something about it.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
How long has the school been going?
About 25 years now, yes.
Started in a humble place.
Humble beginnings and hiding some of the children who were supposed to be arrested, but now we had to put them in classrooms. And we're very happy because that's what we wanted. When people say liberation now and schooling after, what does it mean to a mother?
Anastasia came from humble beginnings. Life was not easy growing up.
I was born and bred in Soweto. But the first place where I was born in a shack, it was Pimville, which was the first area for us black people. I remember my mother who was left with us. Our father left us when we were very young, and she looked after us until we were nurses. And when we were hungry, but there was everything in the home.
While Anastasia and her siblings were raised in Soweto, her mother was a domestic worker in Houghton, where Anastasia now lives.
There would be about 5 places where she had to go and either take washing, clean the house, or iron. I had to learn to iron. But now, with our new dispensation, there it is. Today, things have changed. We are also residents now, all the way from Soweto. After high school, well, I went for nursing at Coronation Hospital, and finally I qualified. During that time, I met my husband. My husband was a social worker, and I was a community nurse. Visiting poor areas like White City, Jabavo, I couldn't stand seeing such suffering. People were staying in the shacks, and that was not a right life. I was very fond of calling women that, guys, let us discuss. We can do it, we've got hands and we are God's children. Why can't we define our needs?
Anastasia met Agnes Gwabaza, a domestic worker and community volunteer. It was a fortuitous crossing of paths. A lifelong partnership and friendship began.
You remember your house in Deep Kloof had a beautiful garden.
Garden, yes.
You love garden.
Green
fingers. Anastasia is a very clever woman, very determined woman, who's not afraid to step where some other people haven't.
The difference between me and Agnes is not a talker. I am a talker.
We are like sisters, I can say. At our early years, they said we even look alike. You remember when we were serving in some organization, we went to other women's group.
Yeah.
And then we clicked.
We clicked because we were more concerned on community development.
Exactly. It was the hard years of the apartheid government. Everybody was fighting for work, to bring up their families in a good way. We were trying to help as many disadvantaged people like us. We were trying to show the government that we also can stand up and do things for ourselves. We went to other women organizations to hear their views. How can we pick up ourselves up. They came with the same answer that we are in a crisis, we need to stand up as women. It's then when we started the Bophelo Impilo Community Association.
Yes.
We started many projects that year. Childminding, garment factories, senior citizens, youth.
And the domestic workers
Upgrading
classes.
And then we find ourselves having the youth coming to us as well.
Pupils at black schools received substandard education, the government of the time intentionally limiting the kind of jobs they could aspire to after finishing school. Little money was spent on black schools. Many teachers were not qualified, and Afrikaans and English were used as languages of instruction.
The children were saying, we are tired of Bantu education. We don't want to attend school now in all these schools that are in the township, because those are government schools and they are Bantu education schools as far as we're concerned. And indeed, they didn't go to school. There was fighting. Some of them were taken into detention. And of course, there was no school.
And they had this slogan of saying, liberation first, and then education will come later. We would try to talk to them that no, we don't dispute your wanting to be liberated, but it must go together with school.
Bophelo women simply said, there is nothing that we can do other than call them into a meeting. And indeed, we called them at St. Margaret Catholic Church. There were deliberations there of saying, we are your parents. And our group, Bophelo Women, we would like you to go back to school. What must we do? Straight away, they came with the answer to say, please start your own private school where we will go. My son was one of those who was at Popas Natla, and they were busy fighting with the police. When we tried to say to them, guys, please don't behave like that, my own son told me, you will never negotiate with the white policeman. He is the one who also say, go and start a school. We won't go to that Bantu education school. Here we had to measure, leaving children, some of them taken by police to detention, or leaving them not going to school. Which is which?
We were afraid that, can we manage a school really? But because we were determined to have this project work, we just carry on with the school.
Anastasia Thula and Agnes Gwabaza started a private school in Soweto in response to the education crisis in the 1980s. It was a huge leap of faith. They were seasoned community workers and mothers, but this was a whole new challenge.
I remember my mom sat us down as a family and said, there's a crisis in the education department. There are so many children who can't afford to go to really private schools, and she said to us, I can't turn my back and simply ignore them. These are future professionals. And I remember asking myself, I said, but Mom is not a teacher. She has only been a trained nurse. Now how does she come into education?
We got taken up with that idea.
Yeah.
But not knowing where to start, what to do.
Eggy.
But eventually you suggested you go to your church.
Yes.
And ask the priest there if you can use the church to start his school.
St. Margaret Church in Diepkloof, Soweto became the venue for their startup school. It was a welcoming space with room for a large classroom and an open section of the main hall. But in truth, it was not ideal for weekly classes and needed to be shared with everyday church activities.
The place was big enough for us to put the children.
It's beautiful, the crucifix
Yes.
on the wall over
Yeah.
there. Okay? It's a beautiful space.
I don't know what went into her mind to actually target a church out of all the buildings. But when I look at it spiritually, I think in her mind, they said the children will also have God and they'll have an encounter with God in the church. They'll be calmed down because they were kind of really, really, really angry. So the anger could only be dampened by a place of serenity.
But soon the school was bursting at the seams and they needed bigger premises. Anastasia and Agnes found an abandoned office building in downtown Joburg.
We just take anybody. We just took anybody who comes to our door. In the beginning, we had children from exile. Most of our students were from street home.
And what was also surprising was that there we are getting street children now. When we were looking at the comrades,
We had boys from exile who were well educated. One of them was Seth Masibuko, who was our first principal of the school. He went around to recruit his friends to come and help with teaching in the school.
remember the teachers who came voluntarily.
Yes.
That I won't forget. You remember for 6 months the teachers
Were not paid.
were
Yeah.
not paid. And with that I think we should say thank you to the Lord. Agnes and myself were not paid for the whole year. And yet we're doing the admin part, the office, the rent and so on.
As the school grew, word spread about its existence and whereabouts, and various government departments started making inquiries.
More children enrolled in
Yes.
our school.
Yes.
And then there came the Department of
Health.
Labor first and told us we must register because we have employed people. Followed by the Department of Education that we must register our school.
Oh, I was going.
And then came the inspectors. No, you are not allowed
to
be in
come
a
and
building,
squat. Yes.
squat in a building with so many
So
kids.
many children.
There are not enough toilets.
Yeah.
There is no playground.
The playground, I remember.
Exactly. Those are the things that frightened us because we were just merely thinking we are doing community project, not being really employers. We didn't realize that we are now employers. We had to register.
There were many skeptics in the community who felt that they couldn't pull it off. After all, Anastasia and Agnes had no prior experience in running a school. But their faith and belief in what they were doing was unwavering, and they forged ahead.
I think the big challenges that they faced, my mom and Mom Agnes, was first of all being told, you are not teachers, what do you want in the education? 2, you don't even have the finance, later on the budget, but you were just moved to say they wanted to do something, and something tangible. How they were going to reach there can only be faith.
I am a prayer person. Agnes is also a prayer woman. Every evening, every morning, I must pray. There's nothing else because I cannot see God, but I know God is there.
But in the midst of it all, Anastasia suffered a tragic personal loss. Her son Zelani died at the hands of the police in Soweto.
He was killed in 1988, not because of the problems of the school, but on something else. He was killed and they pumped 13 bullets into his body.
it was the second death. She had lost another child. So for her, I think I would see in the morning when she has to come out and start a new day, she will just burst into tears. And I think in her mind was, how does she face the following day, knowing that her child is gone and she's got no answer. And that took years, many years for her to put closure in that chapter.
After praying, I will not fold my arms. But after praying, I'll get that stamina to continue whatever is planned, because I know He's behind me.
With their downtown school full beyond capacity, a permanent venue was essential. An abandoned Afrikaans school in Mayfair, built decades earlier in this formerly white area, was found. It was perfect for their needs.
It was another big battle. Big battle in that that school in Mayfair was an empty school for white students. And those days, it was very forceful that blacks one side, whites one side, and Indians one side. We had to go to Cape Town to see the Minister of Education. And Stoffel van der Merwe said, "You are brave women, but I am the Minister of Black Education. Therefore, even the buildings are not under me." He referred us to the Minister then it was for the affairs of the black people, and the minister there told us, no, they cannot allow black children there. Then finally, what happened? Children simply said, "Mrs. Kwabaza, Mrs. Thula, we are going to march to that school and squat in that school." So we stopped them, but we continued to phone the department. After 2 months, we got to be called by the Department of then Education to say, "We are selling now this school building to you." We told them that we don't have money, but we do want that empty school building.
Their persistence had paid off, and they were required to cover the cost of refurbishing the school, as well as take over all municipal bills. But the building was theirs.
We paid almost, not more than 50,000, but the children were in that building up till today.
How much of a leap of faith was it for you to start the school?
Well, it was jumping. It was jumping. Because up till now, later, we had to sign that this building is theirs. Even now, it's written, it's ours.
"25 years after humble beginnings in the midst of South Africa's tumultuous 1980s, the Bophelo Mpilo Private School is an educational miracle, testimony to the vision and determination of two remarkable women.
Now we have a proper building school with 34 teachers, about 600 children from grade R to grade 12. It's really wonderful. We even managed to build a boarding school.
The boarding school, which was donated, provides a home to almost half of the school's pupils. They come from far and wide, keen to benefit from an institution with an unwavering commitment to the present and future of all of those in its charge.
The building's finished. Girls will be this side, boys this side. What's your take? Should we write boys this side? No, don't write boys, don't write girls. Write Mrs. Thula, write Kwabaza. To us was recognition. It's no money, but recognition.
The school excels academically and has created a now famous soccer academy, feeding players into some of South Africa's professional teams. It's a proud place of all-round learning.
I think the passion that they have and being selfless, they didn't even think of the hindrances. let alone the opposition that they were going to face. Going to something that, if you think of a church turning it into a school, taking the angry children and thinking we're going to be able to sit them down. I would say they held their faith high. It was a spontaneous act of love and being selfless.
Bread is baked on-site daily for the hostel and other projects still run by the Bopelo Mpilo Community Association. There's a school uniform making factory providing work for community members and cheaper clothing for the school pupils.
These are the school readiness. Next year, they have to go to the main school.
Every day, Anastasia still visits other projects such as creches and early learning centres across Soweto.
Hello, my babies, I love you.
When you walk around your school today and you think of how far you've come, how do you feel?
I won't say I'm proud, but I'm saying this is how every one of us should try. Proud of the strength of women if they come together.
We didn't mind doing it. We were not paid at all. It was just a satisfaction to us to see the improvement in other people's lives.
We have worked.
When we think years back, we feel very happy, very, very satisfied that we have done something for our community.
Yes, yes.
And the years are gone.
Are gone.
We are ready to move out.
Yeah.
Either we retire or we die, whatever.
Yes, whatever. We do have people who are going to take over from us. We have that understudies so that this whole thing must carry on.
Giving an opportunity to people or to children who had no idea where they were going, but literally breastfeeding them with education and restoring confidence and making them to be professionals. One thing that she prides herself today is that she's produced lawyers, accountants, teachers. She says those are the best rewards that one can ever produce in a lifetime.
In our African language, they say a life of a woman is to carry the knife where it is sharp, There's no food in the house, but you try everything, and there's no money, you try everything. The knife is here, is getting you, but you pretend all is okay and I'm going forward. So we are going forward.